Ever since I watched the film My Octopus Teacher, I've been dreaming of meeting an octopus. And it finally happened right here. I came to this beautiful bay when the water was really cold and there was nobody around. I jumped into the water and went for a quick swim, and when I came out of the water, I noticed that there was an octopus. The octopus was in a really shallow area, and it looked like he was staring at me, which I thought was really strange. So I walked up to the water, and the octopus came closer to me. He crawled up to some rocks, and then he extended one limb out and then tried to grab my foot. I was shocked by this behavior, so I kind of jumped back, and then the octopus also jumped back. But he didn't swim away from me. He kind of stood by me, and we both observed each other. After a minute or two, he swam away. He swam to a different rock right over there. So I kind of followed him, and I took my trekking pole with me. I had heard that octopuses like shiny objects, so I wanted to see how he would react. So I put the pole next to the water, and he kind of grabbed it straight away, started feeling it, and wrapped his limb around the trekking pole. After this, I put my foot in the water, and he started feeling it up straight away, and then he went and grabbed my foot with a few limbs and started pulling my foot towards him. I was again shocked by this behavior, so I kept on pulling my foot away, and when I pulled my foot away, he kind of also backed up, but he still stayed close to me, and he came back to me and started feeling my foot again, so we had this interaction a few times. That day I hung out with this octopus for almost an hour. Eventually he did swim away, and I left the bay, but it came back the next day. I was really excited about this octopus, so I continued to come back to the bay, and I found this same octopus again, and I had more interactions with him. Sometimes I brought my friends to the bay, and he would also grab their feet or their GoPros or something else. It was quite an interesting and unique experience. But after a week or two, he kind of lost interest in us, and when I came up to him, he kind of just ignored me. So, that made me a little sad, but soon I realized that there were actually other smaller octopuses living in this bay, and they were also weirdly friendly. So there was another little octopus who we named Pichurush that grabbed my foot and dragged it across the seafloor, across some rocks. And then there was another small octopus who I named Tini, who I had the most interesting and unique experience of all with. When I first met Tini, it was next to some shallow rocks, and I would just dip my hand into the water like this, and she would grab onto my fingers and try to pull me into the water. Then I'd give her my foot, and she would again feel my foot with one limb and then try to pull it towards her. At first I was a bit hesitant to just give my foot to these octopuses because I was afraid they might bite me. They do have a beak in between all those limbs. But after many interactions with these octopuses, I realized that it would be unlikely for the octopuses to do any serious harm to me, even if they did bite me. So I decided to just go ahead and give Tini my foot one day. And what she did was she just felt it up with her suckers. She gently grabbed it, and I could feel each individual sucker pulling and feeling and probably tasting my foot and my toes. Then when she had a good grip of my foot, I could feel her beak on my skin, and it kind of felt like a parrot's beak, lightly nibbling on your skin. At one point, I found Tini's den, and it was right under this rock there. As soon as she saw me, she would jump out, and she would either grab my foot or my hand. Some days I swam in the water with her, and she'd grab my hand and try to drag it into her den or drag it across the seafloor. Some days it seemed like she was playing with me. She would go behind some seaweed and move back and forth and change colors and textures. And then she would come out and grab my hand. Sometimes she would hold me while the currents or the waves pulled me back and forth. So you can see how strong this little creature is. Sometimes she would feel up my arm with her limbs or just hold my hand for a little while. One time I think she pooped on me. I continued coming back to this bay almost every day for about 3 months. I could tell which octopus I was interacting with because all three of these octopuses were different sizes, and they had different missing limbs. Octopuses do grow back their limbs when they lose them, but it takes some time. Now, I don't really know if these octopuses were males or females. It's kind of hard to tell with wild octopuses, so I just assigned them random genders, and I just assumed that Teeny is a female, though I don't know. Then one time, towards the end of those 3 months, I came back to this bay with some friends, and we were observing Teeny as she was observing us, and another octopus crawled up behind her, all spiked up, and he jumped on her and attacked her. They rolled around for a minute or two. I assumed that they were fighting, and eventually Teeny got away from him, and luckily she didn't lose any more limbs. After that incident, whenever I came back to her den, she would no longer come out of her den to greet me or jump on my foot, unfortunately. She did warm up to me eventually when I saw her crawling around, but she was a lot more hesitant after that fight. And then summer came along, the bay got much warmer, there were lots of tourists here. I also had to go away, I wasn't here all summer long. And when I came back in September, this bay was covered in seaweed, and there were no octopuses in this shallow area. I hope Teeny and the other octopuses just moved to a deeper part of the bay and are still alive and well, but the good news is that now it's December, the water has cooled down a lot, and I have found other octopuses in this bay, and I hope to have more octopus experiences now.